Walensky says since the youngest children cannot yet be vaccinated, it's important that older kids and adults get their shots to help protect those around them. This is AP News. Sidney Poitier has died in the Bahamas. He was 94.
Poitier transformed how black people were portrayed in movies.
They call me Mr. Tibbs.
He was the first black actor to win an Oscar in 1964 for Lilies of the Field. In 2002,
before me there was no one.
Poitier received an Oscar for Lifetime Achievement.
If you came to this venue tonight and saw the array of minority actors headed by some rather extraordinary people, you would know that there has been change.
In 2009, the nation's first black president, Barack Obama, presented Sidney Poitier with the Medal of Freedom. He pointed out it's been said Poitier doesn't make movies, he makes milestones.
Milestones of artistic excellence. Milestones of America's progress.
I'm Ed Donahue.
The Dow closed down 4 while the NASDAQ dropped more than 1%, losing 173. I'm Tim McGuire, AP News.
This is 8:20 a.m. WCPT Willow Springs and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now your WCPT 820 Chicago traffic update.
The Dan Ryan local lanes inbound between the Stevenson and the Byrne interchange. That's the only place that's hot in Chicago today. Solid traffic, 25 minutes from 95th to the Byrne with standing still conditions. You've got the outbound Stevenson between Ashland and Cicero. That's stop and go as well. Out to 355 to Lamont. More trouble with brakes on. 32 minutes from Lakeshore to 355. From DeSable to Tri-State, that's going to be a 23-minute drive. Eisenhower on the outbound lane. Cicero to First. That's tight. A half an hour drive from the old post office to 390. Heading out to Wolf. It's going to be a 19-minute drive. Kennedy outbound between Montrose and Harlem. That's stacked up as well. Heading out to O'Hare from the Byrne interchange, a solid 30-minute drive. That's traffic. I'm Don Stuck.
This is a WCPT Veteran Minute. When Pearl Harbor was attacked, men of all races across the country volunteered to join the fight, despite the United States Army being heavily segregated. Black enlistees were mostly assigned to combat support roles. But this did not stop Lieutenant Colonel Paul L. Bates, who knew of the racism and pushed his soldiers to achieve excellence. The 761st Tank Battalion was formed in the spring of 1942. It contained 30 black officers, 6 white officers, and 676 enlisted men. The unit donned the nickname the Black Panthers, wearing patches on their uniforms with a panther on it and the slogan, "Come Out Fighting." And in 1944, the 761st was assigned to General George Patton's Third Army in France. General Patton gave a colorful speech to his crew, and the Black Panthers became the first African-American tank squad in World War II. And by the end of the war, the Black Panthers had fought further east than every other United States unit, receiving 391 decorations for their heroism.
Chicago's progressive talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez. From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing asses says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Friday! Happy Friday, everyone. This is Patti Vasquez, and I'm so thrilled that you're joining us today. What a long week it's been. Yesterday was a pretty emotional day and a lot going on. And I've been trying to manage so much of the news and how I react to things, because otherwise it just gets overwhelming. Which is why I thought it would be fun to have Mike Crowley on today. He's our film critic on the show, and Mike is going to talk to us about his top 10 movies of 2021. And give us a call during that half hour and let us know what you loved or what you're like. It's so strange because obviously in a typical year, you'd go to the movie theaters, you'd hear all this buzz about what's out and who's starring and what. And now so many things are being streamed, and it doesn't really feel that great to go out to the movie theater. So how are you watching movies? We'll talk about that at 5:30. And I do want to talk about the Chicago Public Schools. So I really, the back and forth between CTU and CPS and the mayor, it's frustrating because we're hearing a lot of different stories, which is not uncommon in these situations. But I want to know what you're hearing and what you think about the CPS's reaction. And, I just don't think that they took the steps necessary to make sure that everyone is safe. As you just heard on our news broadcast, the rates of children being hospitalized are the highest they have been during the entire pandemic. In 1 week, the Children's Hospital, or I believe it's the Advocate Hospital in Park Ridge, they admitted 38 children with COVID. And I know Lurie's Hospital had over 40 children that were admitted with COVID. So it isn't. It's not. People say, well, they're not going to get, as bad of an illness as maybe adults do. It is also causing bronchitis, pneumonia. Why are we taking chances with children? It just feels like it's roulette. I feel like there should have been a plan in place that if we hit certain numbers, if the metrics were there, where kids need to go back, because the numbers are crazy with how many teachers and students were not even going to be able to be in the buildings anyway this week because they were either exposed to COVID-19 or tested positive. And so people were quarantining. Give us a call. Tell us what you think. And don't forget, you can also hang out with us on our Facebook page where we broadcast live. And when you like the WCPT 820 page, you'll get alerts for when we go live. And there's a lot of great conversations there all day long. So go to WCPT's Facebook page and like the page and join us on our live stream. Or call or text us to 773-763-9278. That's 773-763-9278. 9278. Dave from Hoffman Estates is on. Happy Friday, Dave. How are you doing?
Hey, happy Friday. I'm doing well. I forgot to tell you the other day the report came back in. I'm negative, but my nephew, who supposedly we were exposed with, that had it, he caught it again. So he either didn't quarantine probably good enough or not.
Oh, man.
I know he's had one shot. He had like the J&J because where he works, they required him, but
right.
Yeah, but my sister, kind of tongue-in-cheek, said that she wasn't too sad at that because of the fact that he was one of these anti-vaxxers, or he thought it was a hoax.
Jeez.
Kind of wonder if he thinks that now, but...
Yeah, the people are there still people who just think, I guess there are people who think it's still a hoax. Anytime you're on Facebook and the Chicago Tribune or WGN News or NBC5 posts something about the metrics, or the city of Chicago will show the numbers of how many people have tested positive, how many people are in hospitals, and people are on those threads going, fake news, you're giving out false information, you're scaring people. You can't win.
No, I mean, I guess the 850 or 860,000 that are gone already, I guess they never existed or something.
Right, exactly.
But it was just kind of a continuance from yesterday. I got to thinking late in the show about, I'm kind of surprised that President Biden didn't have them yesterday, give an executive order that, that flags be flown at half staff, in honor of this Brian Sicknick and the 5 others who, sadly they were so overwhelmed by it, they took their life. And and in fact, with that, I believe late last year or something, they tried to get the Congressional Gold Medal or Presidential Medal of Freedom, I believe, one of the two for, I think it was the gold medal, but this case maybe they should, along with the executive order, he should deem them for this Presidential Medal of Freedom. I mean, my God, that was, they fought for our freedom. And, if hate merchants like Rush Limbaugh and Jim Jordan were worthy of it, these guys are far more worthy of getting that, Presidential Medal of Freedom. And he could invite, them, or the First Lady could invite, the ones that are mainly like the real faces of it, like, that Harry Duff and Brian Sicknick's significant other.
It's a good point.
I forget their name, and that Eugene Goodman, the original guy they wanted to get that gold medal for and stuff.
What do you think would hold them back from giving those kinds of honors? Yesterday, you're right, a year out, knowing what they went through, how they held the line, what risks they were taking, and of course, as you mentioned, the lives that were lost. I wonder why he didn't.
Good question. I mean, he had 364 days to work on that. That all he had to do. I mean, my God, I think President Obama and them, they did executive orders for other stuff, and I mean, this would be fitting.
I think so.
You know, and I felt it was kind of shameful, you know, that it seemed a little bit like, yeah, okay, you're talking. It's a lot of talk, but I mean, you know.
I think a missed moment. You know, I think that Biden gave a great speech. It would have been, I think, to your point, also would have behooved him to honor the officers and the people who were doing the right things in the right moment, despite the challenges and the danger ahead of them.
Yeah, well, I guess you get the State of the Union yet. He can still maybe do something like that, you know, and make amends for these people because, I don't know, I just felt, you know, they were most worthy of anybody to get that.
Well, and even the folks, you know, we see so many of the images, there are several that stand out, and people who've been vocal ever since, talking about their PTSD, and we mentioned this yesterday. If you check out the podcast On Topic with Renato Mariotti, we interviewed Mike Quigley, Congressman Mike Quigley, and he was talking about how they've started investing in body armor. And, of course, again, this goes to my point about social media. Someone saw that on Twitter because we retweeted that we had interviewed him, and he's investing in body armor. And someone's like, yeah, we'll join the club. Most people who live in cities, you know, have done that in the wake of the BLM protests. And I was tempted, Dave, to, you know, I was tempted to lash out. Do you know how many things, you know, I could have a whole book of tweets I wrote and deleted. That would be the whole book, Lady B. Tweets I wrote and deleted.
Yeah, I'll leave you with this one so you get to others in that thing.
Sure.
I love that I read about where Liz Cheney had talked about when that was going on, and that Jim Jordan had either grabbed by the hand or saying we'll go to, and she said, "Get your effing hand off of me," and that you're the problem. You're the reason this is going on.
Yeah, good. Somebody's got to say that kind of stuff.
Yeah, she's got some moxie. I don't mind what she's been doing. You know, we need more like her, you know?
Yep.
Right now. I don't care what party she's from, you know? Anyway, let me get off.
Yep.
You got others.
All right, I will talk.
Have a good weekend, Patty.
You too. I'll talk to you later. Have a great weekend, Dave. Thanks for calling in. Let's take a break here. We come back. We'll continue our conversation. Jim's on hold. We'll get to your call right out of the gate. And I also want to remind everybody that we're going to have Mike Crowley on at 5:30 to talk about his top 10 movies of the year of 2021, and let me know if there are movies that you would. Do you have I always am amazed when my friends go, you know, post their entire list of their favorite movies of the year, and I'm like, I didn't even hear any of these. Of course, a lot of movies are held back for the end of the year so that they are remembered most freshly during the award season. And I've been doing a lot of watching, whether it's series or movies. I am in SAG-AFTRA, so we have our nominations coming up, and I've been binge watching a bunch of stuff. I watched Mayor of Easttown, which was amazing, and I watched Dope Sick, which is on Hulu. And have you seen it? It's about the OxyContin epidemic, and it is so good. We'll talk maybe a little bit about that later. If you've seen it, give me a call, because I thought, do I want to watch 8 episodes about OxyContin and the devastation that this addiction has caused in so many communities? And I'll tell you something, they had to do it this way because they really devote so much time to the storytelling, to how families are impacted. Obviously, the writers, and it's written by Danny Strong, who wrote Game Changer, but he did such a great job of making it personal, but also technical. So if you've seen it, let me know what you thought about it. But I do recommend it. Michael Keaton is amazing, as are all the other actors. Oh, Mare Winningham. I haven't seen her. I had to take a break here. I could go on and on about this cast. 773-763-WCPT. That's 773-763-9278. We'll be right back after this on WCPT 820. I'm your host, Patti Vasquez, for Driving It Home.
A Better Life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
When's the last time you carved out time to just relax? I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, CNN's chief medical correspondent. Let me first say it's okay to spend some of your time doing nothing. In fact, you should spend some of your time doing nothing. You shouldn't try to be productive every minute of every day because your brain, just like your body, wasn't made to do that. If you try, you're going to find that you're going to hit a point of diminishing returns. Sure, you can keep working for a few more hours, but your work just isn't going to be as good. It'll be so much better if you step away and come back to it. The best thing for you to do is going to be whatever you enjoy. a movie, a walk, a dinner with friends. It isn't selfish. It is good self-care. It is so important. I know some of my colleagues even block off time on their calendars every day to make sure their me time doesn't get the short shrift. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Because facts matter. You are listening to WCPT 820.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez, and I'm thrilled that you're here. Happy Friday, everyone. And coming up at 5:30, we're going to check in with movie critic Mike Crowley. Right now, we're checking in with Jim from Chicago. Hey, Jim, how are you doing today?
Hi, Patty. I was trying to avoid calling your state, but today, I listen to the radio. They're bringing a case against the teachers union for the vaccine. They're here in front of the Supreme Court, anti-vaccine. Who's putting up the scratch for these cases? I mean, it's all dark money. Nobody. I mean, I'm not asked to contribute to any of these lawsuits. They're in front of the Supreme Court today saying, why should FEMA demand shots for the workers when it's not against... Well, who's paying for these mouthpieces in the courtroom? And today the Chicago teachers union is getting somebody put up stove from some university,
sure,
some right-wing university, and they're suing them. I mean, this is all out of John Q. Public's hands. I mean, we're just sitting back and just like, okay, what is the outcome of that case?
Well, to your point, Jim, not only that, but in the case before the Supreme Court, you can go to heartlandsignal.com. They have the article about the lawyers who were arguing against Biden's vaccine mandates, right? They had to participate remotely because why? They both tested positive for COVID. Of course they did. Sorry, it's not funny. It's not funny. No, it's
not funny because anyway, dear, go ahead. I mean, it's so mind-blowing that these cases, when it costs you so much, I couldn't afford to go to take get my cabana back in Miami. I couldn't afford an attorney. You know what I'm saying? These people are, blowing fortunes on nonsense. I mean, that's what kills you. You know what I mean? That's what kills you.
Yeah, I agree. It's highly...
You're talking about movies. I don't know if we'll ever get to talk to you again. My favorite movie was The 400 Blows. Did you ever see it by Francis Truffaut?
The 400 what? The 400 Bows?
The 400 Blows. Candace Bergen was married to him. He was a French director.
Oh!
It's a French film, The 400 Blows. It's about a disillusioned kid who kind of drifts into delinquency. It's just a magnificent movie, The 400 Blows, very good chance to see that. But my blood starts to boil. When I hear this is stuff that's all out of our hand. Anyway, thanks.
Of course.
Good weekend.
I will look up 400 Blows. They have a great weekend.
Blows.
I will look it up. Thanks. I know. I get fired up too. There are points during the day where I really should stay off of social media because it's a lot. But then the work that I do, I track the numbers throughout the state of Illinois when it comes to hospital beds that are available. I see people in the ICU, ventilators that are available, and staffing, which is the hardest thing that a lot of hospitals are having right now. There's a couple things regarding hospitalizations that I think are important to keep in mind. And you look, I know you can't argue with people who are going to remain willfully ignorant. There's going to be thick-headed on purpose, and we can't. There's no arguing with people, and not even just arguing, but just saying, hey, all right, fine. You want to believe that this isn't severe or that it can be catastrophic for somebody? How about just the sheer numbers that we are seeing when it comes to hospitalizations right now in Will County and in Kane County? 98% of their ICU beds are occupied. Meaning if there's anybody that needs, if you have a heart, and I've said this, I feel like I've said this every day. If there's a heart attack, if I have a patient who has a stroke, if there's a multi-car pileup, and there are injuries that need intensive care, we can't manage this. And yes, a lot of this has to do with the fact that we weren't in a good position before the pandemic hit. But now one of the reasons that we need people to not just get vaccinated, but also remain masked, is that we really cannot afford to transmit this to people who might be vulnerable. My son Declan is 16 years old. He is verbally challenged. He does not understand. He does not have language comprehension. He cannot speak. Look, my son had to have major surgery when he was 13 years old. He had to have 2 titanium rods fused to his spine. And there was no way to explain that to him, to tell him, hey, we're going to, this is what's going to happen. No, it's just Declan basically went into the hospital. No, there's just no explanation of that. And my point being about that was like how terrifying it was for him. I had to stay by his bed for 6 weeks in the hospitals, first at Lurie's and then at Shirley Ryan Rehabilitation Center. And I had to stay next to his bed. There had to be someone there because he doesn't know to take care of himself. Like, he didn't know that he couldn't use his legs yet. And it fell out of the bed when the woman who was caregiving for him at the hospital turned her head. So I ended up having to stay at the hospital because someone has to be by his side. What I'm saying is that if he were to get COVID and needed to be hospitalized because he does have a compromised respiratory system, he would be alone. There would be nobody to comfort him. He would be just completely isolated from his family. And it just makes me so. That's just my unique situation. This is happening over and over again to people where they are vulnerable to what is happening right now. And it's not sustainable if we continue with these numbers. And I just don't know how to convey this, how to impress this more strongly, more aggressively for folks. We were talking yesterday about I think yesterday or the day before, but one of our listeners asked about which side you're supposed to wear the mask, or they were saying that they had heard that you're supposed to wear the color on the outside if you have a surgical mask. And so we went back and forth on what people's understanding of that is. And a listener messaged me and said it was Tuesday, while they were driving, and said they couldn't call. You were talking about how to wear medical masks. I work in dentistry and have been wearing masks forever. I would like to make a few points that might address some of the questions I heard. Colored masks. The color goes on the outside always. White masks. So if it's white on both sides. The pleats cascade or step down. So you want them to be folded down. I think I had one in here for those who are watching on Facebook. I'll see if I can find one. Nose clips. Pinch them down tight over the bridge of your nose. This helps keep in or out the air and keeps the mask in place even when talking. So if you see me on Facebook, you can see I'm wearing a KN95. We're doing some work around the studio, and I want to make sure I keep my coworkers safe. Our engineer Jim is hanging lights so we can look even better on our Facebook page live stream. So you can see that it puffs in and out a little bit, but it keeps the little clip right there keeps it in place. So that if a mask gets wet from your breath, saliva, rain, or snot, it is no longer effective as when it started out. Please replace it. Exam masks are meant to be used once and then tossed. You can get by wearing the same one all day if you keep it clean and dry. Unless you are working in a medical setting, then you change them between patients or contaminated when wet, or contaminate or wet. Cloth masks should be cleaned and dried after every single use. Do not crisscross the ear loops. Now, I've seen this on TikTok where they'll say crisscross the loops so that you have a tighter fit. In order to tighten the loops, tie a knot towards the end in the loops to shorten them. This does not sound different from crisscrossing, but it is. The front of the mask should tent out away from your mouth and nostrils a bit. If it's pressed too close, the mask will get damp from your respiration. So if it's up against your nose, it's all going to get wet, and you're going to contaminate your mask sooner, and you want to be able to use that longer. Hey, Mary, during the day. Hi, Mary. Happy Friday.
Hi, happy Friday to you, Patty.
How are you doing?
Thank you.
Of course.
I'm okay, and this is so interesting that you just read that about the mask, because this thought just occurred to me. You know how President Biden, he said he's going to be sending out the free COVID test kits, I think, like after the first of the year. And I was thinking, how's that going to work? And I started to read into it, and they said, well, they're going to have to the government obtains them, and then people have to, order them. And I thought, gosh, I wonder how many people are actually going to, take those steps, and how complicated that's going to be, and are you going to get, free shipping? And I don't know. But I think it's good. I think it's really good. It was really wonderful, because, that's great. But my second thought was, what about the masks? And you were just mentioning about the KN95 or the N95, and that's what I'm wearing now. I've learned, I've like you, I've read up on it. I'm like, okay, if I'm going to wear something, I want to wear the best thing I can.
Right.
But then I started to think about, don't you think, and I just wanted to run this by you and maybe the listeners, why couldn't we do the same thing that with the test kits with masks? Couldn't we do everybody have them free, at a pharmacy or a grocery store? You can have a limit, like they did for toilet paper, and you could get yourself 10 at the most at a time or something. Because I'm thinking a lot of people might not have the money to buy
to keep buying these.
Time.
Sure.
Because I'm like you, I was wearing cloth, and I had a breakthrough case of COVID. Luckily, I was vaccinated, so I was okay. But I was thinking, some people might just wear a winter scarf or a bandana because they don't have time to either order them or whatever. So I was just kind of going to throw that out there. Maybe, I know it's a ton of money, but I'm thinking, gosh, if it was convenient for people and they could just get it and just wear it properly, it might help, Yeah,
exactly. Early on, I think there was a big focus on masks. A lot of older people and offices, places all over the city were offering masks or even dropping them off. I was, I was making calls to seniors and dropping off 5-10 masks and giving them hand sanitizer and things like that. But that seems to kind of dropped off as we focus on vaccinations, and I don't know why we can't do both. I think that you're absolutely right. I think that making sure that people have masks at their, at their disposal would be helpful.
Right, and we've all learned so much when it comes to masks, because we have learned so much more about how things get transmitted, and so now we know better. But I don't know. I get scared the heck out of me, because when I did get my breakthrough case, I had been wearing my mask all the time, and I thought maybe that's because I wasn't wearing it the proper kind. So,
right, and that's the thing. We keep learning. That's there are folks that are still spreading misinformation about masks. They don't work. They're face diapers, and it's the hostility too. I was talking to a friend of mine, actually Steve Goody, our friend who does the song for the theme song. He is a host on Sunday nights in Nashville, Tennessee, at the Bluebird Cafe. And he was messaging me because they don't have very high, their vaccination rates have plateaued, and they don't have any indoor masking mandates. And he wants to host every Sunday. And I said, look, if you feel more comfortable. And the thing about performing is that we're usually away from the audience enough where I feel somewhat comfortable.
Right.
He would rather wear a mask on stage. And I think that's fine. I think that maybe you'll be a good role model for people who are worried about wearing a mask or feel ashamed or whatever around folks. And he's like, well, that ship has sailed in Tennessee. Nobody's wearing. Nobody cares. Well, I've got to run to the break, Mary. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for talking.
Of
and
course.
You too. I appreciate it so much, and have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. I'll talk to you on Monday or next week sometime. Let's take a break here. When we come back, we'll check in with Mike Crowley and see what his top movies of 2021 were. Let us know what your thoughts are. What did you see? What did you love? What do you think that everyone should be watching? And maybe we haven't heard of it. More in a moment.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago traffic update.
Solid traffic on disabled Lakeshore Drive northbound between Irving Park and Foster. An earlier accident had it completely shut down. It's still a 20-minute drive from Monroe to Hollywood in those northbound lanes. Slow going on the southbound lanes as well. Medical emergency there. Basically, the left lanes are blocked due to the accident that was on Foster. They're cleaning this thing up now, so that's what's happening there. It's a 13-minute drive southbound from Hollywood to Monroe. The Dan Ryan local lanes inbound between the Stevenson and the Byrne interchange. That's been a parking lot all afternoon. It's a 30-minute drive still from 95th Street to the Byrne. If you are on the Stevenson heading outbound, it's very slow between Ashland Avenue and Cicero. That travel time from disabled Lakeshore Drive out to 355, 26 minutes. That's traffic. I'm Don Stuck.
I bought football tickets for my husband's birthday, and now I'm in a football bubble. All I see online are articles and ads about football. I hate feeling manipulated. I downloaded DuckDuckGo and saw a difference right away. Take back your privacy online with DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
Jackson Hewitt needs you to know 3 things about filing taxes this year. 1. There are thousands of dollars worth of new tax credits on the table. 2. You have to file for them to make sure you get the right amount. 3. A Jackson Hewitt Tax Pro will help track down every credit you deserve. Tax credits for being a parent, taking care of a parent, going to school, and so much more. You don't want to miss out on thousands. Jackson Hewitt knows that. Discover thousands in tax credits and get your biggest refund guaranteed. Learn more at jacksonhewitt.com.
O'Reilly. Are your wiper blades chattering, skipping, or squeaking? Don't let streaks or smearing on your windshield compromise your visibility. When it's time to replace your wiper blades, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and see our selection. Our professional parts people will even install your new wiper blades while you wait. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
During the I made that a little bit abrupt. Hold on, let me just make that a little bit. Made it a little smoother. Let me just roll it. Let's just fade. There's an elegant way to do this, and then there's it was this, right? That doesn't sound good. This sounds better. There we go. A little more subtle. And there we go. I'm just being silly, Lady B. I'm in a good mood because we're going to talk movies. There's a lot going on this week, and I like the distraction. I've been binge watching a lot of series on Hulu and HBO. I just started Succession, and I am wondering what movies I might have missed, or what Mike Crowley thinks I should watch, or all of us should watch. Hey, Mike, how are you doing this Friday?
Hey, how's it going? Yes, thank God for the movies, or else I'd probably go crazy during COVID.
I agree. Did you, before we get into your list, were there movies that you went back and had heard about, maybe from, that are older movies, and you're like, I should check this out, I've never seen this? Do you have like a running list of movies? Like, I've never seen Gandhi. Like, that's an example, I guess. You know what I mean?
Neither have I. I only saw parts of it towards the end. So you're in the same boat. It's funny, like the whole 80s boat I missed. People are like, you've never seen Trading Places? You've never seen Goonies? Although I did see Goonies recently.
What'd you think of it? Because I've never seen Goonies. Is that age okay?
Yeah, you know what? It's only good if you're a kid, because if you're an adult watching it, it's like, will these kids just stop screaming over each other? This is really annoying. Like, I'm just like the curmudgeon parent or the guy telling someone to get off their lawn.
Fair. I feel like I missed that window of seeing Goonies, but I will say this about 80s movies. While I haven't seen Gandhi and maybe a couple others, we've been watching a lot of 80s movies with my son because he's leaving for school next year, and we felt like, okay, what are the movies that we loved? And there's some real gems that were popular then, like the movie Witness. Have you ever seen that with Harrison Ford?
I literally just saw that for the first time a few weeks ago.
Right, now, what did you think of that one?
I enjoyed it quite a bit. I think that director was Peter Weir. He also did The Truman Show, which is arguably probably one of the movies that's aged. It's insane how well that movie is aged. It seems almost quaint compared to what we do today. Although I don't know if someone built an entire set for someone's life.
Right. Well, yeah, Griffin my son just watched Truman Show too, and I wasn't sure why, but he seemed to enjoy it quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because it just draws parallels to direct life, with reality TV, and then having a reality TV president sort of skewer everything where I feel like I'm living in the Matrix in a continuous simulation. So it's like that. That's kind of like the feeling I get from that movie now, where I'm like, oh my God, they knew all along. And Jim Carrey, man, what a great casting choice in that movie too. Like I think this was before Jim Carrey was like doing dramatic work.
Right.
And people were going, Jim Carrey, why? But of course it makes sense because he's goofy, has a big personality. But then it can be like super serious. Like there was a whole video I saw him recently where he's like on the red carpet and someone's talking to him, and he just like had this whole nihilistic viewpoint where he's like, none of this matters. This film doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah, this isn't real. You're not real. Fame isn't. Yeah, I saw. Yeah. It's a little, but yet it seemed quite appropriate for Jim. Like this is the next evolution of Jim Carrey. And to your point,
exactly.
To your point though about this sort of zany, over the top comedic actor, I was thinking about this again, and obviously we have Robin Williams as an incredible example of that as well. Incredible dramatic actor and obviously a brilliant comedic mind. I was just talking about watching the series Dope Sick, which Michael Keaton is in, and what an incredible... He is so great in this, and if you think about the dramatic roles he's had, but he started out as like this sort of kooky, funny character actor in the 1980s,
Oh, he was Mr. Mom, and everyone went crazy when he got cast as Batman.
Right, and I think he was great as Batman. By the way, I'm getting yelled at for not having seen that. I'm an 80s kid. I was born in 1971, and Goonies is mandatory for an 80s kid. But that was like, what was that, 84 or so? See, it would actually be just on the outer edge. Like I would be just kind of be a freshman in high school and a little too cool for a kid's movie. Do you know? Like you could see how I would fall through that crack.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and I was, I was 1 year old. I wasn't even born when that movie came out. I was born in '85.
Okay, let's stop talking about your
Everyone
age.
told me about it. I'm like, when people build up a movie for so many years and then you finally see it, it kind of like ruins expectations.
Right.
So
yes.
There's always kind of like, because you're going to walk in and it's like, it's going to be good, but maybe not as good as everyone says because, I wasn't a kid watching other kids having fun with each other.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, I want to let folks know that we're talking to Mike Crowley. He's a film critic. You can go to, you'll probably agree, his website. It's ypareviews.com. And that's a great photo, by the way, with that camera. I love this. I love the photo on your website.
My old photo from 65 pounds ago where I look like George R.R. Martin. I think I changed.
Hey, one more thing before we get to your list. We have a listener, Scott, from Logan Square, who wants to talk about movies. Hey, Scott, what's on your mind?
It's Gus, actually, G-U-S.
Hey, Gus, how are you doing? It happens.
Well, 80s movies, I was born in 88, but I've still seen the Goonies. Not bad, but the best 80s movie almost nobody saw, it's called The Brother from Another Planet from 85.
Oh.
And it's with Joe Morton. If you know Joe Morton, he's a character actor. And literally, he plays a space alien. He can't talk, and he's being hunted down by other space aliens. It's actually very good. It has a sort of day-in-the-life element to it.
I've never heard of it.
It's a lot of
Look at it now,
very good.
1984. Yeah.
Yeah, it came out the same week as Starman, which a lot of people didn't see Starman either. TV sort of saying that.
Jeff Bridges. Wasn't that Starman? Jeff Bridges?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's the only John Carpenter movie to be nominated for an Oscar.
There you go.
I like this year, I would say the top three, in my opinion, Dune, Belfast, and Stillwater. I loved Stillwater.
Oh, there you go.
And a great movie almost nobody saw, but if you have HBO Max, you could get it. It's called Kameradschaft. It's a German film from '31 about a mining accident. Oh. And it's interesting because it's an inspirational film while having that sappy Hallmark quality to it. It's still serious.
Oh, excellent.
It's very good.
Well, say that again, and I'll have to do it phonetically into my phone later. Go ahead.
Kameradschaft. It translates into comradeship in English.
Okay, great. See, that helps. That'll help me find it. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Thank you. All right. So then we've got a couple movies from him. So let's find out what's on your. Do you want to talk about the movies he mentioned? Belfast, Stillwater.
I haven't seen Kameradschaft, or someone please give. I haven't seen Belfast yet because I wasn't given a screener to it. So I could have gone to the theater, but I'm like, I like seeing them for free.
Fair enough. Yep.
Yeah.
So
but I have heard amazing things about it. I know, shout out to Don Shanahan from Every Movie Has a Lesson and 25 Years Later in Cinephile. He said he does everything. He loves Belfast, so I definitely, that's one of them where I'm like, I hope I don't adjust the list again after I see it.
how often does that happen? Like it's, December 29th, okay, I got my list locked down, and then they drop a movie or it becomes more widely available for you to view, and you're like, crud.
It's funny you mentioned that. That literally happened to one of the movies on the list, like I think the day after New Year's, because everyone mentioned it, because I got the name of the movie confused with The Godfather Part 3, Coda. And I'm like, what? People liked that? Like, I thought everyone hated The Godfather 3. But yeah, it was called Coda, which actually translates to Children of Deaf Adults. And that was the one that ended up having to change. And I think before I had that on there, it was like Lamb I had on there, which is a very, like, that's not on my list. That's a very, if you want to see a weird foreign film, like, if you just feel like, hey, I want to see a weird film, see this movie. It's about like a half lamb, half human hybrid that a couple who lost their child end up having because one of the lambs gives birth to it. And it's really a movie about ownership and loss, and a spectacular film that will probably be nominated. I wouldn't be surprised for Best Foreign Language Picture.
Interesting. Well, thank you for that. And wait, what's the name of that one with the half lamb, half?
It's called... Yeah, it's called Lamb.
Lamb. Okay, that should be easy. All right.
It's confusing because the lamb in it is a human body with a lamb's head. And that's the child that, like, this couple falls, like, in love with and raises as their own. And it's a really dark movie. It's with Noomi Rapace. She's most popularly known for being in Prometheus.
Okay.
But she's fantastic in this role.
Outstanding. All right, so what's coming in at number 10 on Mike Crowley's list?
It's The Souvenir Part 2, and that was a semi-autobiographical movie by the director, and it's about a young woman who is trying to basically put her life back together. She is in film school, and her partner that she lived with has passed away because he was hooked on drugs. And The Souvenir Part 1, which is available on Amazon Prime. I saw it on Prime for free. The main actress in it does a wonderful job, Honor Swinton Byrne, who is the daughter of Tilda Swinton, who actually plays her mother in the movie. And it's really, the thing I loved about that film, especially Part 2, which is like the one that came out this year, is it shows you really what the process of filmmaking is like, and it's not all fun and Disneyfied where everyone's patting each other on the back, everyone's screaming at you, telling you you're making the wrong creative decision, you have to ignore them despite what you're doing. And it's a homage to filmmaking and grief, and that was my number 10, The Souvenir Part 2.
The Souvenir Part 2. Okay, excellent. Yeah. It's got.
Number 9.
Number 9. Let's go with number 9.
Okay. Well, for once, this movie. Have you heard of Pig? It's with Nicolas Cage.
I've heard of it. It sounds another one that sounds like it's very strange. We got Lamb. We got Pig. What's going on?
It's funny. I had the same thing when I was going through my list this year. I'm like, what's with all these animal films? Like Lamb, Pig, when's Dog coming out?
Yeah, exactly.
And I remember seeing Pig. Pig is weird because Pig is like about this guy who like lives in the middle of the woods, played by Nicolas Cage, and his pig is stolen, and he has to find it. And you think, oh, this sounds like a goofy revenge tale where Nicolas Cage is, going to go full crazy again and scream with his eyes popping out of his head. But no, he actually plays a really subtle guy who just kind of has lost everything, and that pig is the only part of his life. There's a lot of loss as a theme in this year's movie. It's probably because of COVID. But it's actually a beautiful representation of human kindness and being good to one another rather than being hurtful. There's like a mob boss in the film, but the revolution isn't like a shootout. It's actually like a heart-to-heart talk. And that was certainly one of the movies where I'm like, I don't know if it's getting on my top 10 or not, because it kept bouncing on and off the list. And in the end, I'm like, you know what? I do remember that movie pretty well. A lot of other people were talking about it. Pig is certainly one to check out. It's a very un-cagey Nicolas Cage film, but it works. It's nice to see Nicolas Cage do something a little different here and there instead of having like mental breakdowns in every movie.
Well, I mean, you know, if you go back to Leaving, I was thinking about Leaving Las Vegas last night because I'm watching Cobra. Here's my how my brain works. I was watching Cobra Kai, and Elizabeth Shue, who plays the original love interest in it, is the actress that's also in Leaving Las Vegas. Like that was her sort of dark performance, and they both were nominated for that film. And he's great in Leaving Las Vegas. Just. You know, we obviously have this impression of how he's very eccentric, and you know, have you ever heard Jen Bosworth talk about him? She was a regular on Nick DiGilio's show, back at WGN. She was an assistant. She was Nick Cage's personal assistant. You should Google. I'm sure there's some of that audio out there somewhere, but she's got some great stories about him. So far, we've got we're at number 8. So what's number 7?
Yeah. So number 7. We're at number 9 was Pig. Number 8 is Tick Tick Boom on Netflix.
Number 8, right? Wait, that was 9. 8. You're right. Sorry, we're at 7. Wait, 10, 9. No, we're at 8.
I only know because I wrote it.
Sorry.
Otherwise, I would have forgotten myself.
Go ahead.
But Tick Tick Boom. This is probably one of the best musicals I've seen in years. It's directed by Lin-Manuel Miranda, but it's actually from the movie from the guy who did Rent. And before I cheat and look up his name, he's played wonderfully by Andrew Garfield. And Andrew Garfield's career, by the way, is really taken off. Jonathan Larson is who I'm talking about. It's about the late Jonathan Larson and how basically he's broke all his life. And right before Tick Tick Boom premieres, this isn't a spoiler because it's part of, it's like the whole point of the movie. Right before it premieres, he passes away. And this was someone who never listened to him, never cared about his creative vision. And for the few who did, he did what he wanted, even though people told him, no, sell out, make commercial music, do this, do that. He's like, no, this is my vision, this is what I did. And that's how Rent came to be. And now I want to see Rent because of it, which I never thought I did. I mean, the most I associated with Rent was that Chris Columbus directed the movie, and he's like the guy who did Home Alone and all that, and didn't turn out that good. And then Team America's joke rendition of it, where they're going, everyone has... I don't know if I can say it on the air, but...
No, I've never seen Rent either, so I'm with you on that. We got to take a break here. We are talking to Mike Crowley. He's giving us his top 10 movies of 2021. When we come back, we've got a listener of Michelle has a question for you. So stay tuned for our conversation as we head into the home stretch. I'm Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez, 773-763-9278. More in a moment when we come back. I have too much stuff here. There we go.
I'm Joel Clark, a Select Quote agent, with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and he can't take it with him. Well, I went to work and found Ray, who's 40 and takes medication to control his high blood pressure, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for only $19 a month. That's way more coverage for a lot less than what he was paying. If SelectQuote didn't shop for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote and to find out how much you can save, call 1-800-346-1122. That's 1-800-346-1122. 1-800-346-1122. Or go to SelectQuote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your premium could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Stephanie Miller here. Now more than ever, a lack of understanding leads to distrust, and those feelings get really personal when it's about food. Is your food frustrating you? Worse yet, is good food painful? As I learned from the Tummy Whisperer, even healthy eating habits have pitfalls. I highly recommend Renee Barish at Digestive Health Solutions. As a certified digestive health specialist, she helps people untangle poor digestion and all the related symptoms. Have you changed your diet only to feel worse? Get answers and stop making your digestive issues a full-time job. Renee can solve issues like acid reflux, constipation, diarrhea, even symptoms that are related to poor digestion like headaches, joint pain, and fatigue. She creates a custom program with you that allows your body to restore its proper balance as she helps you calm things down in Tummy Town. It's time to understand what foods are triggering your stressful symptoms. Have trust in your tummy again. Visit thetummywhisperer.com or call Digestive Health Solutions at 847-207-2034. Let Renee get you feeling better. Call now, 847-207-2034.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
this open road. All regrets are let back in the dust. I'm okay to take the wheel while you draw so near. A time to rediscover and to trust. We need this
A little more music from Chris Jones. Go to chrisjonesgrass.com to hear more of his music. On the line with us is Mike Crowley. He's a movie critic. He also writes for Chicago Indie Critics. You still write for chicagoindiecritics.org, right?
I still do. Yep, I'm on there. And then 25yearslater.com.
25 years.
To make it easier, you can always just Google 25YL or YPA reviews. I never type in the address. I just Google stuff. And I'm like, oh, there it is.
That's what I was looking for. That's what I wanted. And we have our friend Michelle who wants to join our conversation. Hey, Michelle, what's on your mind?
Hey.
Hi. I'm a first-time caller, so I'm really nervous. But I love your show.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. My question is, my mom and I stayed up really late one night, I would say early 80s, I think, and we watched this movie late night when they used to have movies on, like Channel 5 or Channel 2, I think, or 9. And it was about a lady that lived in Arizona or out in the desert. And she lived all by herself. She was elderly. And she had a beautiful yard with flowers and trees. And all around her was nothing but dry desert. And these guys would come by on their motorcycles or walk. And they would be running from the law, hitchhikers and such. And she would invite them in, feed them, and say that they could stay for a while, work in the yard. They dig these big holes. And they couldn't figure out why they were out there making these holes. And she'd come up behind them. And she'd club them on the head, push them into the hole, and plant trees and roses and things all around them. It was such a mystery movie. And to this day, I cannot, I've Googled it, I've looked everywhere, and I cannot find this movie. And I was just wondering if Mike could help me.
I was literally trying to find it on Google while you were talking about it. I typed in 80s movie about old woman in Arizona, and I didn't find it. I came up with Raising Arizona, which is a Coen's brother film I haven't seen, but that sounds interesting. So this lady would lead him. She gave him shelter, and then she would basically knock him out or something and kill him.
Yes. She would push him into the hole. And the movie, there was about 4 guys that went through. And the one guy, he was out there digging late at night, and he was like, why am I doing this? He was about the only one that actually questioned why he was out there making this hole. And he looked around, and I think he kind of figured it out when she came out with this giant shovel behind him. And he had turned around, and she was like, bonk, look at that. And they kind of rustled, and she pushed him into the hole, and then she would somehow, she was so frail looking, and she'd roll this tree over them. And that's how her yard was so beautiful, and then it panned out. I'll never forget it panned out, and it showed her gorgeous yard with all these trees, and it just dawned on you then why her yard was so gorgeous.
Hold on, I will be so impressed with myself if I found this, because I tried doing a bunch of different things. Whatever Happened to Aunt Alice is certainly a guilty hold on a second. I don't know if that's the one. No, I'm trying to find a bunch of them. Wait.
There's a lot of Whatever Happens. There's Whatever Happened to Baby June. Whatever Happened to Old I'm just reading off what I saw on Google.
Wow.
It was such a good movie. It was when Johnny Carson. I mean, I was still living at home. I was with my mom, and we were staying up late and watching crazy movies, and that one just really stuck with me.
Here, hold on a second. I'm trying to see if this is it. Okay, creepy woman. It can't be that. But after the death of her husband, widow Geraldine Page finds he has lost his fortune in bad investment and receives only a briefcase with a rusted dagger. Blah blah blah. Claire moves to Tucson, Arizona, where her unknown nephew George Lawson gives an isolated house in the desert for her to live. Claire poses as if she has investments and kills her lonely housekeepers to steal their money. Then she buries the bodies in her garden and plants pine trees on their graves after I mean, this sounds kind of like...
That sounds like it.
Sort of sounds like that.
Yeah.
It sort of sounds like that.
It's Whatever Happened to Aunt Alice.
What's the name of that?
It's the Whatever Happened to Aunt Alice. is with Geraldine Page.
Oh.
Do you remember who Geraldine Page? She was in the movie Trip to Bountiful, which I believe she won the Academy Award in, I want to say, like 1985. I know that because she beat out Whoopi Goldberg for The Color Purple. I could be wrong about all these things.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so now we have to find out.
I could talk about Oscars all day, Oscar stuff. I'm still salty about Saving Private Ryan losing to Shakespeare in Love.
We could do this.
I'm still salty about it because I think I'm watching the trailer to it. This lady just got hit in the back of the head with a huge rock, and now they throw her. This is definitely it. Whatever happened to Aunt Alice? You got it right.
There you go.
What's right? Beer.
Look at me. Yep. I put in pretty much the whole description you gave me, and I found whatever happened to Aunt Alice. So to find out if that's the one, Michelle. Have a great weekend.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Right,
you teared up the Bible and thrown it in the fire in this trailer. What's going on?
By the way, I used to have a segment called Googling with Patty. I would do this. People would they couldn't find something on Google, and for whatever reason I could. Okay, we only have a couple minutes left for the rest of your list. So what's the next movie after Tick Tick Boom?
Sure. Okay. I'll speed it up. I mentioned it before. Coda. That's on Apple TV, and it's about a girl who can hear that lives with a family that's deaf, and they're fishermen, and she wants to actually become a singer because her teacher told her that she has a gift for it. So, and it stars a cast full of actual deaf actors. It's a remake of a popular French film by the same name. Or a different one, I'm not sure. I have to look it up. But the French film had controversy because they did not hire deaf actors in deaf roles, but then they rectified it and fixed it with this one. So Coda on Apple 2 is number 7. Number 6, Passing on Netflix. Passing's great because Passing is about literally someone who's black who can pass off as white. And takes place during the 1930s, and
it's beautiful. This one I've seen.
Is just gorgeous.
It's so beautiful. Yeah, I agree, Mike. Go ahead. Sorry. Yeah, I loved it.
Oh, you've seen it?
Yeah, Tessa Thompson. I love her. Yep.
Yeah, and directed by Rebecca Hall, who I had no idea, but I guess there is some lineage to her that is African American, and she was able to put that in the script. And yeah, if you see Rebecca Hall, you have no idea that it would tie to that, but it ties to the theme, and how things go in the end is really depressing. And on the note of depressing movies, this is available to rent on all platforms, is The Last Duel, and that movie is about a event that happened during the medieval times where a woman who is wedded to someone who defends the king. The man defending the king is Matt Damon. She is sexually assaulted. And you see it from the perspective of the assaulter and from her perspective. And then in the end, there's a duel, because she will not back down and not claim that she was assaulted because nobody would listen to her. And it's similar to what happens today. And I thought it was quite well done. It was a movie that will certainly... It's not an easy watch. It's not like, hey, kids, let's watch The Last Duel, where there's a horrific scene that's reenacted 3 times. But the way you see it from different perspectives, you could just see how blind and stupid guys are. And the woman's perspective, I should say, go back, the man's perspective was written by Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, and the woman's perspective was actually written by the girl who, if I could look her up, was assaulted in the film, and she actually should be up for an Oscar. Jodie Comer, she didn't write that role, but she was the one. Oh, here it is. The writers, is that Nicole? Oh, God, this is going to be a hard last name to say. Hollis.
You sound like me trying to pronounce someone's name.
Nestor, I guess. There's a silent C before an E in there.
Too funny.
She wrote the woman's perspective, and Affleck and Damon wrote her their perspective. And how it matches together, I thought, flowed really well. But there's mixed feelings on it. But I like to see what more people think.
I want to see that one too, Mike. I'm going to have to break this up into 2 segments. So we've got we're going to have to wrap it up with the top 4 next week. Can you join me again next Friday?
Sure, no problem.
Excellent.
We'll get down to the top 4 then.
Yeah, well, what we'll do is we'll recap these, and if people have a movie that they saw one time and they can't remember what it is, they can also call in with that. I love that I found that for her. And one more time, where should people find the work that you do, Mike?
Okay, if you guys Google YPA Reviews, you can find my YouTube channel there and my website. Every week I do this Wednesday. Usually every Wednesday I do a Book of Boba Fett review show called Back to the Future. The Back to is the back to think that Boba rests in while he has flashbacks of his life. And I play that live with my friend and fellow filmmaker John Davies from Cinema Obscura. But you can catch me every Wednesday at 4 playing that. This week it'll be Thursday. But Google YPA Reviews and also Google 25YL. That's where all of my big movie reviews will be on. And Wednesday I'm seeing Scream, and we'll see what I think of that.
Awesome.
Man, talk about beating a dead horse with a stick with that franchise.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah.
But hey, if you can still get a sound out of it, you'll take it. That's Mike Crowley. We'll talk to him again next week to get the rest of his top 10 for 2021 and heading into the award season. I think that works out perfectly. Thanks, Mike. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Take care.
Have a good one, folks.
Thank you. Bye. Bye, Lady B. Thank you for everything. Devil's Advocate's next. Sorry I'm late. Bye.
I'm Joel Clark, a Select Quote agent, with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband